What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Beautiful day, but it's going to start getting hot. So tomorrow is going to be about 10 degrees hotter than today. The next day is going to be about 8 degrees hotter than tomorrow, and it's going to keep climbing for a few days. So summer's back, but that's okay. Have some nice water here. Delicious. So I have Dalmore, 15-year-old, 15 years, aged 15 years. This is matured in American white oak, finished in Oloroso cherry casks. So I'm a fan of this product here. Had it a few times, probably 3 times. And the first time I had it, I was in Vegas. I was looking for it, and nobody had it. I was asking, you have a little bit of the Dalmore, and they were like, I don't have that. Then I went by another place, I think it was in Caesar's Palace, and there was a bartender there, and I asked him, and he goes, yeah, I think I have that. So he pulled out a brand new bottle right off the top shelf, pulled it down, and he didn't know what to charge me. So he poured me a shot, and he's like, I don't know. He goes, I don't have the price on this. So he looked up another item, and he charged me, I think, 30 bucks for a shot, which is extremely cheap for this brand here. So anyway, I bet you he never did that again. It's like a trick box. Look at that. It says Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. This is a product of Scotland. So this is high quality. This is very, very good. Very good. I highly recommend it. If you're ever at a place, drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. I'm home right now, so I'm only going to have a little bit. Just a little bit. That's the best way to enjoy this kind of stuff. A little bit. If you have too much, you feel like the next day radiation sickness. Radiation sickness. So I never have too much. I only have a little bit. And never drive drunk. Never. You're gonna find yourself wrapped around an oak tree like a yellow ribbon. So if you know anything about this product, there's a guy on YouTube, you can look him up. I think his name is Robert Patterson, and he talks all about this brand here. And so he has like a class where he teaches people. So he pours it in here, and then he says, hello, how are you, how you doing, does a couple of twirls, takes a little drink, he pours. As a matter of fact, the first shot that he puts in the glass, he swirls it around and throws it behind him just to clear the glass and give it the flavor of the Dalmore. So we're going to try it out. Has not been opened, brand new. Drink in moderation, right? I'm telling you, you enjoy it much more in moderation. Don't be a booze bag. Yeah, this is premium. Good stuff. Good stuff. So that's it. Then we seal it back up. I will put it back in the box. But if you see this, pick it up. You know, if you go to a place, Caesars, anywhere in Vegas now they have it. It's tough to beat the Scottish when it comes to this kind of stuff here. Put it down here before it falls over. So the Patterson guy, he's got a nose that fits in here perfectly, but hello. And if you see the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Very good, very nice. Nice aroma. Very good quality. And like I said, the first sip is the shocker. Then every sip after that, up to a point, gets better and better. Oh yeah, you can taste it now. Very good flavor on this. Very smooth. Very smooth. It's not harsh at all. Very smooth. 15 years old. So I was this big when this was made. That commotion out there. See what we have in here. Got a book. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Tom Waits. So it's got a bunch of drawings in here. Some of it's photography. So I've been a fan of Tom Waits's for over 30 years now. Like 34 years. Then I have Arctic Monkeys. I love this album. I don't feel that I feel that they haven't come close to the success of this musically. Not sales, I don't know what the sales are, but this had some very good music on it. Do I Want to Know? Love that tune. Good driving drum beat, awesome guitar playing over that, great vocals, great album, Arctic Monkeys. AM. Highly recommend that. Very smooth, very smooth. So, Kiss, Destroyer. This album, when I was a kid, was huge. This is the 45th anniversary. It's a 2 LP deluxe edition, and it has Detroit Rock City, which was played a lot when I was a kid. What else they have here? That I'll tell you the song that really speaks to me. Track number 4, side 2, Beth. Love that song. So I'll tell you what happened. So my cousin, I had a cousin, I still have her, she's still around, and she kept telling me, you know that song? She goes, oh, by the way, this is made in the Czech Republic. So she would say, you know that song by Kiss? It's called Beth. I go, yes, I do. I'm a big fan of that, I would tell her. She goes, I love that song, she would say to me. So one day I had this record store back then that I would go to a lot, and they would sell 45s. Nobody knows what a 45 is now, but it's a small record with a big hole. And back then they were $1 each, and the guy, it was a son and a mother. Son was young back then, and the mother was, you know, a bit older. And you'd go in there and they had a box full of 45s, new ones. And so I would go through them and I'd pick whatever I wanted, you know, because they always had the top hits, and they were $1 each. So I went in there and I bought Beth, and then my cousin lived near that record store, so I called her up and I said, hey, I'm around. And she goes, come over. So I went over and went up to her room on the second floor, and I pulled out from the bag Beth, the single, and she was blown away. She was like, oh, that's awesome. So she had a turntable, nice one, and she put it on, and we must have played that song like 20 times that day, maybe more. She couldn't get enough of it, and neither could I. So I sat there and I listened to it, but I love that song, everything, the intro, the vocals, a little bit raspy, and then the build-up. And the message of the song, you know, it's a really deep message, especially for, you know, musicians. So I ended up getting this 21 total tracks, 10 unreleased original 1976 album, newly remastered, so it sounds much better. You'd be surprised when you play side-by-side comparisons. Like if you play the like Beth unmastered in today's technology, and you play it side by side with this, switch back and forth, you know, because they have these programs, you can do that on your computer. You notice a big difference. Big difference. There's a cat here, a little one. And anyway, so like I said, I love that. But there's a few good tunes. And there's 6 demos, 5 unreleased, 6 studio rarities, 5 unreleased on that, and then there's a 20-page booklet featuring the story of Destroyer, and there's rare photos in here. I haven't opened it yet. I should. I should. It's not like I'm gonna resell it. Remember in the old days, you'd play these things and then they'd get like a scratch on them, and they were useless after that. They'd repeat. Look at this. Great. I will say though that when this stuff came out, when they were big in the 70s, you couldn't tell who they were. Nowadays, you couldn't play that. You couldn't do that game anymore. There would be so many people with iPhones getting your image that you'd be all over Teen Beat and Tiger Beat magazine. National Enquirer would have the real faces of Kiss revealed. But back then, you know, everybody was wondering, who are these people? And then when they finally took off the makeup, everybody was like, put it back on. I love albums though, just so rich with information. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, they were huge. They were huge. Oh yeah. Look at that, Kiss Army. Shout it out. It was a good gimmick. When they took the makeup off, album sales suffered. And then they came back and had the makeup on, and everybody wanted to see him again, because that's who Kiss is. It's the makeup. There they have handwriting, which is always cool. Nice. Yeah, here's the booklet. I don't know how they walked around with these outfits, these big boots on stage. Yeah, you look at this and it's like time traveling. You know, I'm a big fan of looking back at these kind of things. It brings back memories. You know, I had a friend, and he would get there a little bit before school started, right? And he would get chalk, and he would do all the logos of the big bands of that time, the big rock bands, and Kiss was one of them. And then the teacher would come in, look like pissed off, and get an eraser and erase it all off. Yeah, nobody knew who they were. It's like, who is this band? Who are they? I never saw them live, but would have been a great concert to see. Very nice. Look at that. Now we know what they look like. It's amazing how a little bit of makeup, you know, if you saw, you know, them back then, and then you ran into them at like, I don't know, Sears shopping, you wouldn't know it was them, even though the structure of the face is the same, but the makeup changes everything. Put it back in there. Yeah, I would get really annoyed when I would get a brand new album and I would play it a lot, and then a scratch would develop, and then would start repeating. So the years go by. Back then, you know, music was real. There was no auto-tuning. Either you had the talent or you didn't. And if you didn't have the talent, you know, sometimes just because you couldn't sing did not mean that you couldn't, you know, try and make it sound good. Like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is not really a great singer, right? That's an understatement when I say not really that great of a singer. But he does things with his voice that make it sound, you know, great. Like Positively 4th Street, which I love that tune, you know. He sounds great singing that, and there's no auto-tuning, there's no AI manipulating his voice. Desolation Row. Love that tune. What's that other one? Queen Jane, Approximately Queen Jane. That is a great tune, lyrically and the way he sings it. You know, all his old stuff. I mean, now he's, I don't know what he did to the voice, but he kind of blew it out. Now it's all raspy, and it's not, you know, I don't know what he's doing now. But back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, when year did Lady Lay come out, you know, where he changed his voice for that album, sounded very good. So yeah, I'm a fan of Dylan. Some people they don't like, you know, but it's the voice that gives it the emotion. So if you hear Desolation Row, that is a great tune, one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs. But Positively 4th Street is awesome. Of course, The Hurricane, another good tune. There's like Bob Dylan has a lot. And I will say, though, he frustrated me. I saw him live in 90, 91, around there. I think it was 91. I saw him in an outdoor venue, and it was frustrating. Every song that he sang sounded the same. You couldn't tell if he finished the old song and started a new song. The whole concert was the same sounding. And I'm like, are we still on the same song? I don't know why he did that, but he must have been high, because every song was the same. Same. Even the music sounded the same. It was just like they were hitting any note, any chord. But yeah, things have changed, which is a newer. I think that came out in the 90s. Things have changed. I love that song. Love that song. Well written, clever words. So, Bob Dylan. Bob Zimmerman took Dylan Thomas's name and became Bob Dylan. Spells it different than Matt Dillon. But that's like a popular name. I'm a big fan of Dylan LeBlanc. He's a younger musician. I love his albums. I love his stuff. But he's also Dylan. But Thomas Dylan, the original, you know, he had Dylan as a last name. I used to go to the library and get Thomas Dylan out and read his stuff. Big fan of his. W.H. Auden, love his stuff. So, yeah, you get poetry and you read it and you fall into it. Something about it, you know, especially if it's clever, and even more so when it rhymes a bit. It doesn't have to rhyme, but for some reason, when you get into that flow, you know. Yeah, I enjoy poetry, but it has to be good. You know, it can't be some nonsense that somebody, you know, was on LSD and they put together. How are we doing on time? 6:09. Yeah, like I said, it's gonna get very hot the next few days. So I was watching something on YouTube, and it was the top 10 airliners in the world. It's amazing that not one of them was a U.S. company. I don't know what's going on with that. You know, there used to be a time that all things that were great in the world were originally from here. You know, in the old days, if you said give me the top 10, probably TWA would be on there, Pan Am would be on there. But now United Emirates was on there, Japanese airliner, two of them, they were on there. Turkish airliner, that was on there, number 7, I think. Air France was on there. And now you look at these planes, especially the ones that were on the top 4 or 5, they look like hotels inside. They look like comfortable hotels with great dinners. Some of them, the Singapore one, even the Emirates, they had rooms with beds. Can you imagine that? Flying and taking a nap and waking up all refreshed instead of being all in that little seat. And you know, how ridiculous was it in the old days they allowed smoking on airplanes? That seems to me like a bit much. You know, you're in a tube, limited air, and you're allowing people to pollute it, you know. And in those days, there was no such thing as a HEPA filter that would remove all the toxins and all of that. It was just like, you know, breathe the poison in. That, I mean, I understand, you know, smoking outdoors or something like that, but in a closed cylinder, flying somewhere for 10 hours, breathing the same air, guy next to you smoking nonstop, and then they had smoking sections. Why? The smoke stays in the smoking section? Ridiculous. I mean, that was a huge oversight. very, very, ridiculous. I think about it, I go, that was ridiculous. I mean, imagine being a little kid back then, flying somewhere for 10 hours and having this tube of smoke that you have to sit inside of. You want to smoke? Go outside on the wing. Have your cigarette there. But inside, they allowed that. And not only that, fire hazard. Got some almost smoking, he drops a cigarette by accident. There's maybe some paper underneath, lights up the place. You're over the Atlantic. What are you gonna do? Like the default should be there's no smoking on these things. Not, we have to pass laws and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, I was watching it, very, very impressed, very impressed. And the Airbus, man, what a comeback this company has made. It used to be that no one could touch Boeing. What was the other one, McDonnell Douglas? No one could touch these companies years ago. Now, Boeing can't even touch Airbus. Airbus is making high quality products. So I don't know what's going on with Boeing. Yeah, if you great aroma. But I'm at the end of it, and that's all I'll have, because that's when it's the best. I am a minimalist. Very smooth, very smooth. Yeah, it's got a good aftertaste too. It takes about a second, and then you notice there's a little burst of flavor that comes in. Yeah. Stuff like that in moderation. Anyway, I'm waiting for the crows. I see no crows, zero. I was going to get another album by Foreigner, but then I said, all right, I'll just get these two. I want to say Foreigner, great band. Great band. That Mick Jones, that guy could put songs together. Lou Gramm, amazing voice. But I remember when Waiting for a Girl Like You, that song, when that came out, what a hit that was. And you could feel that, that emotion. A song is great when you feel it inside. It gives you that feeling. But I Want to Know What Love Is, which came after. That was another great tune. Not many verses in that, but it builds and builds, and then you have the choir at the end. Really great tune. Great vocalist. Jukebox Hero. Urgent. Yeah, bands like that do not exist anymore. There's a few, but they don't get the airplay. That's the problem. Foreigner. And what a clever name. You had the Americans and the British. They called it Foreigner. Amazing band. And Mick Jones, great musician. He produced Billy Joel's Stormfront. I guess every time I say that, I am reminded in my head that Billy Joel co-produced that with him, so just to be fair. But Mick Jones, originally he wanted Eddie Van Halen to produce that album, but Eddie Van Halen was busy. So I think Eddie Van Halen recommended Mick Jones. And he ended up going with Mick Jones. I think it was done in British Columbia, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. Love British Columbia. It's getting dark. Well, not. It's a little bit darker, but not. There's still a little bit of time. Maybe another hour. Hope there's something good on television tonight. I am waiting for Fargo to come back. Love that Fargo. So that's the kind of stuff I enjoy watching. I love good quality writing, good quality direction, and I love the cinematography, that quality look to a movie. I like to hear little sounds in the background that they add in, maybe the feet walking on gravel. You know, little details like that make a difference to me. But I'm not a fan of Star Wars or anything that is like that style. I'm not a fan of zombie movies. I'm not a fan of fantasy movies. I like solid reality movies. I love comedy movies based in our world, drama, suspense, horror, all that stuff. But I do not like Lord of the Ringworms, whatever that nonsense is. I don't like Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, the Empire Strikes Back. No, not a fan. Not a fan. If you want to shorten my life, put me in a room to watch those kind of movies and eat lamb, and I will probably die at the end of the week, if not sooner. What else can I tell you? Got to sleep late last night, and then had to get up. I get up every day at 6 o'clock. I got up. You know, I get up sometimes, use the bathroom. You know, sometimes. And what annoys me is when I get up and it's like 5:47, and I'm like, oh man, it's 5:47. I got to get up in like 13 minutes. But what I enjoy is when I get up and it's like 3, and I go, cool, I got 3 hours to go here. I remember when I was a kid and there would be a snowstorm. The unexpected one was the best. You know, the one that they thought it was going to be rain or something, so you did all your homework, you did all your studying, you were all set, and then all of a sudden you wake up in the morning, you pull the curtain to the side and you look out and there's a major snowstorm hitting the city. And that's what I like the most. What I didn't like is when they announced a major snowstorm was coming, and then you'd say, I'm not doing my homework because there's no school tomorrow. There's no way there's going to be school. Big snowstorm. And then you'd wake up in the morning, you'd pull the curtain aside, and it would be raining out. That happened to me a couple of times, and the whole day you felt like you were going to get in trouble any minute now. And I don't know why I never said to the teacher, you know what, I heard the weather report and they said a lot of snow, so I didn't do my homework. Is that okay? No, they didn't care. You know, but I remember a couple of times it happened where they announced rain, and then I looked out and we got hit with like 10 inches of snow. And I was like, wow, that's a pleasant surprise. And, you know, you'd end up, I don't know, you don't do anything special, but you'd end up roaming around the house all day, jumping from bed to bed, watching television. But yeah, it would be kind of, you know, for those days when you were a kid, it's scary when you'd be expecting snow and rain would hit, and then you'd have to go to school without doing your homework. And in my school, my high school, they checked every day. Every day they checked. They had a piece of paper in their records, and they would give check marks or minus signs. Check mark if you did it, minus sign, you know. So, yeah, but they piled on the homework. It wasn't reasonable. They gave a lot of homework in those days. Well, tell them, you guys teachers here, why do we have to go home and do more learning? So rest our brain a little bit. But anyway, they would give homework. And it was one thing if there was a couple of subjects that gave it, but everybody gave homework, every single subject. Even in the summertime, they would give you books to read. I'm like, this is summer. Can you relax with the books? Like I said, I like to read, but I want to read material that I pick. I don't want to read material that unless I'm interested in it, right? If somebody says, hey, you like learning about the universe, here's a book on physics, here's a book on astrophysics. I say, all right, let me see that. Let me see who wrote that there. But if they say, read this book on Ivanhoe, I'm not interested. Or some other ridiculous, maybe like home economics. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna go inside, find out what's for dinner tonight. I don't know. We'll see. I could go for Indian food. I love Indian food. I love food from all over the world, but Indian food, Greek food, Mexican food, Japanese food, schnitzels, things like that. I like all that stuff. But Indian food is amazing. I've watched Indian people cook, and they have a whole closet full of spices. And when they cook, they use everything. Everything gets put in there. They mix it with the oil, then they add stuff. It takes forever, but at the end, it's really, really good. Really good. Chicken biryani, chicken curry, tandoori. Tandoori chicken is amazing. So, but if you're Indian, you have to spend your whole day at home cooking. A lot of steps. And then Japanese, I love eating teriyaki chicken. Japanese cooking is great. I watch them. Everything Japanese people do, they're professionals about it. When they build homes, carpentry, when they cook, they are professionals. I enjoy watching everything that Japanese culture produces is like cutting edge premium. If you watch videos where they cook steaks, man, it's like an art form. The way they handle all the stuff, they cut it with the sharp knives, they get the forks, they flip them around, then they put a little spice here, a little cream here, a couple of cuts of garlic here, a little bit of a mushroom sliced up. Man, they have some talent. And carpentry, the way they build things without the use of nails. Very impressed. So Pakistan, also great food, delicious. Go in there, nice aroma, great flavor. So that's the way it is, But yeah, for me, Greek, Mexican, Indian, what's another? Lebanese food is great. Lebanese food, very good, very good. I had a Lebanese friend. Great food. Syrian food is good. Of course, French food, French food. Julia Child. Trying to think some other thing that I've had that was really good. Chinese food. I've said this story before, but I had a friend of mine, very generous guy, back in high school. I haven't seen him since high school. And he'd call me up. He'd say, hey, you doing anything? It would be like 8 o'clock at night. I'd say, no. He goes, you want to get a bite up at the Polynesian place? Chinese food and everything. And I'd say, sure. So he'd come by. He had in those days, he had a 1971 Lincoln, one of those big cars. And he'd come by when we'd go up there. And he knew everything on the menu. So, because he was at an early age exposed to going out to restaurants all the time. So he knew what to order. He knew how it should be cooked, all that. I didn't know anything like that. I was like the inexperienced, food guy there on the corner. I didn't know anything. So I said, I gotta find one thing on here on the menu and just stick with that, if it's good. So I zeroed in on something and I could pronounce it, and it was called Mumu Gai Pan or something like that. waiter came over, and none of them spoke English. They only spoke the words that were on the menu. And he says to me, you, and I said, give me moo gai pan. And he brought it over, and I said, that's all right, it's good. And every time we'd go there, I would get the same thing, because I don't want to pronounce anything wrong and have the guy laughing, you know, giggling under his breath. So I would get moo gai pan, and I've not had that now since the high school days that I used to have it. Haven't had it since then. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.